I'm with BTC. I'm the estimator on this project. This is for, and I'm sorry for those of y'all over here, it's kind of awkward, but a little bit more folks than what we had anticipated. If y'all aren't familiar, this is a pre-bid meeting for the elementary schools number 10 and 11. You know, come on in, we got some sign-in sheets right here, and we have one seat up here, and then I think another one back against that wall. So this is for the elementary schools number 10 and 11 for Waxahachie ISD. Like I said, I'm the estimator for BTC. We're the construction manager on the project. With us, with the district, we have Mr. Michael Craig. The design team, we have Mr. Michael Voigt in the back, who's our project director, and Mr. Jignesh Patel, who's the project architect. And then if y'all want to introduce any consultants who are here.
Yes, we do have with us our Sean engineer.
Sean right here on the PM.
Excellent.
And I think we have
Jonathan Aldis, principal in charge.
Oh.
Construction.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, you know, we'll take some questions at the end, have our design team here. What we're going to ask is that any questions that you have, ideally, I'm sure y'all are used to this, we'd prefer to take them in writing so that we can get them all compiled, processed, and then if they need to be addressed in an addendum or some official form of documentation, we can do that. But if you have something that's quick, dirty, and easy, feel free to ask at the end, and either I or some of the members of our design team will hopefully be able to answer those. So I want to make sure that everyone here signs in. I think everyone did on their way in, but if you didn't, just throw your name, your company, a phone number, and email address on your way out. We're going to take all this information. I think most everybody's in our smart bid database, but just in case you're not and you found us through Plan Hub or the newspaper advertisements, we're going to take everyone who signed in who's not in our database, add them to it so that you can get all of our correspondence, addenda, RFI responses, and whatnot. So just make sure that you get your name, company, phone, and email address at a bare minimum. We ask that all communication be directed through the construction manager, through us. It's nothing new. Substitution requests, RFIs, whatnot. We have processes that we're going through to take care of those. So any communication, try to direct it through us. My contact info is on here. That's my cell phone number and my email address. So you should be able to send all that through me. And also, if you didn't get an agenda, I'm going to post this to our Smart Bid Plan Room after this meeting, as well as a link to this presentation, just in case you miss something or whatever. So don't fear, don't sweat it if you didn't get a copy of this agenda. Scope of work, as I mentioned, these two brand new ground up elementary schools, about 80,000 square feet apiece. Everything that goes into it, site work, playgrounds, basketball courts, paving, whatnot. Generally, the identical elementary schools, minus some changes in obviously the site and the foundations, but for the most part, it's two identical elementary schools. I want to make sure everyone knows, there are two complete separate sets of construction documents, two sets of plans, two sets of specs, one for number 10, one for number 11. So just make sure that you don't just put your bid together based on 10 and assume it's the exact same as 11 and not even look at 11. Try to do some vetting on that. Bid day and time. So the bid date is a week from today, April 21st at 2 p.m. We ask that you email your bids digitally to estimating@btcbuilds.com. And maybe kind of small for those in the back, but I think everyone in the back's got an agenda, so we should be good. I have, again, any questions should be sent to me. I put my email address there for you. We post all of the bid documents to our online plan room on SmartBid. That's the only plan room that we maintain. We do send out links to some other plan rooms like Plan Hub, Construct Connect, and whatnot, but we don't maintain those, so we can't guarantee that all the documents that are posted there are valid and that they haven't forgotten some stuff. So again, if you're not getting documents from our Smart Bid Plan Room, let me know. Make sure you're signed in. Shoot me an email and make sure that I get you on our database so that you can get all the latest and greatest stuff. Again, addenda are going to be posted to Smart Bid. We're anticipating two total addenda, one today, and then another one on Monday of next week. We're trying to get that out as early as possible. I know it's pushing up against the Wednesday bid time, but I don't think it's going to be anything too earth-shattering, so I think it'll be okay. So just keep in mind we're looking for two addenda. Please submit all your bids on a BTC provided bid form. We just posted those this morning to SmartBid, a generic bid form for all trades, and then trade-specific scope review forms. So it's just a checklist. We have basically three sections: general requirements, trade-specific requirements, and then project-specific requirements. That's our pre-construction and operations team's best takes. Yes, sir.
Will there be two separate scope review forms
No, sir.
for each element?
No, sir. No, they're one scope review form for your whole bid. Each elementary school is captured within one form for your trade. So that's our best guess at kind of itemizing the nuances of each trade's scope of work, and that's just so that we can ensure everyone's apples to apples, so we can make fair evaluations of everyone's bid. If you see anything on that that looks weird or wacky, or something that's not on that should be, let me know. Shoot me an email, give me a call, so we can have that conversation ahead of time, because I don't want you to think that you need to pick something up that we're actually having someone else pick up, and therefore you're not competitive. I want to make sure it's as fair and even as possible. Historically, we posted those post-bid and did that whole process post-bid, but we've kind of, for those of y'all who bid us in the past, but now we've shifted all that to pre-bid just to make sure on bid day that we get the closest representation of a complete scope as possible. So BTC bid form for all trades, and then a trade-specific scope review form. If you want to still send your letterhead quote to us, we absolutely will take those. More information, the better for me. I appreciate it. The last note, I want to highlight this. So the bid form is set up. Actually, it's not, but it will be. We're going to take individual numbers for each school, and then we're going to have a combo number that if you were awarded both of them, what that lump sum price would be. So, if you want to take number 10 only, you can give us that. If you want to take 11 only, you can give us that. If you want to take 10 and 11 together, you can give us that option as well. And we'll take all that in and make the fairest evaluation of what we think is the best value for the owner. The bid form that was posted this morning actually doesn't have that. It only has one blank, but we'll fix that, and we'll get that out this afternoon. I do want to call some special attention. Some of the other documents that we've posted to SmartBid, our proposal package manual. This has all of our general requirements, insurance requirements, safety requirements. Once we finalize our prime contract, that will be posted in there. The subcontract agreement template, so you can review the subcontract agreement. If you haven't gone through a subcontract with us before, it will be in there. Just make sure you review all that. It's pretty standard stuff, but we just want to make sure that, insurance especially is the big one. We want to make sure that we're totally clear on the insurance that's going to be required. Proposal packages. So I kind of touched on this with our scope review form. We will take bids based on a package of work, concrete, right? So the entire project's been split up, as you're probably used to. Make sure you look at that scope review form, not the day of or the day before the bid, just in case there's something on there and you're like, well, I ain't got that, it's excluded, right? We're hoping, we put that together intentionally so that we can make sure all the scope of work's covered and that nothing's double covered and then there's no gaps. So make sure you take a look at that a few days before the bid and make sure that the bid that you put together up to that point reflects that scope of work. Like I said, addendum number 1 is going to be released today, and we're expecting addendum number 2 on Monday. No alternates at this time that I've seen. Some other items, weekly cleanup. We asked that everyone include composite cleanup, 8 hours per 10 men. So if you have 1 to 10 men on site, 8 man hours a week, 11 to 20, 16 man hours a week. If you want to, we ask everyone to include that, and there's a area on the scope review form for you to acknowledge that. If you want to give us that, if you typically don't, on projects where composite cleanup is being used and you don't typically provide composite cleanup if you're going to be on the job site for like 2 days, go ahead and include it and give us a deduct for it, or mark excluded, and then there's an area right next to your included, excluded, where you can give us an add to include, so we at least have that information. We can make sure everyone's apples to apples. Prevailing wage rates, there are prevailing wage rates, and they are listed in the project manual, so make sure you look at those and incorporate those into your bid. Schedule, we have 2 construction schedules that have been uploaded to SmartBid, so make sure you take a look at that. Both schools are going to run generally simultaneously. Like I said, there's a little bit difference in the site and foundation design, so that will have some slight impacts on the schedule. But for the most part, they should be running simultaneously. We're anticipating a notice to proceed on May the 12th. That may adjust plus or minus a few days, but substantial completion right now is slated for August 11th of next year so that these schools can open for the fall of 22. I know there's some, we've been in talks with folks about some extended lead times on stuff like steel joists, and I'm sure there's, you know, the pandemic and the winter storm that we had that shut the entire state down, I'm sure having some sort of impact on y'all's pricing and lead times. On our scope review form, we have some areas, some fields on there for you to report to us, not only duration of, you know, how long is it going to take you to get shop drawings to us, but also lead times for materials. So use that as an opportunity to, you know, communicate to us, you know, hey, something that took 6 weeks, lead time is now 12 weeks. You know, you can use that scope review form as a communication tool to help communicate that to us so we can start analyzing that and figuring out what kind of impact that's going to have on our construction schedule. But right now, the schedule is based on these dates right here. So I wanted to note multiple mobilizations might be required. Make sure you just review the schedule and include mobilizations per that schedule. Submittals will need to be submitted immediately upon contract award. Our PMs will start issuing letters of intent once our GMP is approved to everyone that we need to get going. So once you get that letter of intent, we'll need to get submittals rolling. And if you need a subcontract, we'll start kicking them out right then and there. The last point I wanted to make here regarding schedule, this is a big paragraph of jargon, and I'll let you look at it later, but what it basically says, and I pulled this straight from our scope review form, we do not, our schedule that we put on SmartBid, if you actually stopped and did the math, it's based on a 6-day work week. Now, that's not saying that everyone has to work a 6-day work week. If you can, based on the start date and end date for your duration, your particular work sequence, if you can do that working 30 hours a week, great. Figure your job 30 hours a week. If you can get 40, great. But what we want to see is that you acknowledge that you, based on the start date and the end date, that you can get your work done, and you've included enough manpower to get your work done between those 2 dates. Now, we're not perfect. Y'all are the experts at y'all's particular trades, and if those durations seem unreasonable, or there's no amount of additional labor that you can add to the job due to diminishing returns, all that kind of stuff, let us know. We're open to communicating about that, but right now we want you to include that in your bid as far as manpower requirements go. Warranty. General project warranty begins at the date of final completion, not the substantial completion. A lot of this, for those of y'all who did elementary school number 9 with us, we've pulled a lot of that from elementary school number 9. It'll be very similar. 1 year general project warranty, and then obviously extended warranties for folks like roofing and whatnot who have specified extended warranties. Safety, employee badging and background checks. So in our instructions to proposers, Section 7, we have listed what our requirements are for background checks, and it's per the Texas Education Code, Chapter 22, which it's not, E-Verify or FC background, and I'm not sure if the district has any, I know some folks we work for have like FC background requirements or whatnot, and we can get those clarified later. But for BTC, the minimum that we require is what the Texas Education Code requires. We're not going to ask you for those background checks. We don't want to get into the privacy issues with that. All we ask is that to signify that all the guys who get on a job site are background checked, that they all have a badge with the company name, the individual's name, and that individual's photograph. And that's your signification to us that this employee is background checked and is allowed to be on this project. Our safety department conducts safety meeting 48 hours before the work is to begin for any particular trade, and they'll have regular safety meetings throughout the project. Anyone, and this is pretty typical stuff, anyone operating any equipment needs to be able to provide proof of certification that they're certified to operate that equipment. Fall protection at 6 feet, no electrical hot work, no aluminum ladders. SDS information needs to be project specific, and then conduct and dress code. Elementary school number 10, is not on an occupied campus, obviously, and technically elementary school number 11 is not either, but elementary school number 11 is directly adjacent to the high school. So we're going to treat these projects as if we were on an occupied campus, right? So conduct, dress code, all needs to be appropriate for projects that are on an occupied site. That's our expectation. So that's pretty much all I have as far as the agenda. If anyone has any specific questions or anything that I haven't covered, or if our design team or anybody wants to chime in on anything, we're happy to address anything at this time. If not, you feel free to email me questions and we'll process them as we need to. We have had a couple of rounds of pre-construction RFIs folks have been sending in, and we've gotten responses on the first 2 rounds of RFIs that we've sent in, and I posted those responses to SmartBid for reference only. Pretty much all of those responses are going to be incorporated into the contract documents in one of these 2 addendas. So, I wanted to push that information out to everyone early just so you can, start moving based on those responses. But we need to double check that everything that you're going to be basing your bid on based on that RFI is also included in an addendum. So, because that's what your subcontract's going to be written for, is based on contract documents, not those pre-construction RFIs. But if you haven't seen them, check them out on SmartBid. Some stuff there kind of goes everything from MEP to civil. So if no one has any other questions, Mr. Craig, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, or
I want to say how much I appreciate all of you coming out here. And this has been one heck of a year, hasn't it? And that's an understatement. But thank you all for all of your participation here and your overall service to our district. We thank you so much for that. We have many members of our design team here and engineering team here. So if you have specific questions and you want to just stop by and ask us a question or 2 on the way out, I know sometimes in a crowd setting like this, it's not real easy to do that, but feel free, please do. So thank you all again for coming.
with that, if no one's got any questions, I appreciate y'all coming out. I know it's, some folks had a decent drive, but this is good showing, and we really appreciate. I know I really appreciate that, working on this job, and I know BTC appreciates it. So I'm looking forward to working with y'all on this one, and hopefully other projects that we're doing here for the district. So.
Yeah, Brian, to your point, if you live in Waxahachie, bond election's May 1st, and the other projects he's talking about, that's all contingent on that bond. So, in all seriousness, the growth here is impressive, beyond impressive. There will be a lot of work in Waxahachie ISD. So don't take it for granted if you live here that it's all just going to happen. If you're a taxpayer, please go out and vote for the bond. It's absolutely necessary for everybody else to vote. So, I want to put in a plug for everybody to make sure they can do it.
Absolutely. Necessary enough to start the whole design and pre-construction process prior to the election. So, that's it. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. I'll be hanging out if y'all have any other questions.
Hey, Brian, I'm Tyler Heisel, Cherry Coatings.
What is it?
Tyler Heisel, Cherry Coatings.